is a warm and vibrant community, and we are happy that you are all here today. It's good to see you. If you're a visitor today, we especially welcome you and look forward to getting to know you more. Later in the service this morning, we will take our Share the Plate offering as a way to care for the wider world. This month, our donations go to the American Civil Liberties Union Foundation. The ACLU tirelessly defends the civil liberties guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution, ensuring that marginalized and oppressed individuals have a voice and legal support in the face of systemic injustice. By supporting the ACLU Foundation, we directly contribute to their crucial work in areas like voting rights, criminal justice reform, and reproductive freedom, issues that are at the heart of our UU commitment to social justice. During the offering later, you may donate online from our website, uunorthfield.org, or put cash or a check in the basket. If you are paying your pledge by check, please note in the memo line either capital pledge or annual pledge. I call your attention to the announcements in your order of service and weekly email. You'll notice an insert in your order of service today for Side with Love, the public advocacy campaign of the Unitarian Universalist Association. For those online, the handout is also attached to our weekly email. Side with Love offers weekly action updates and monthly online gatherings focused on tangible ways to work for justice. If you're wanting to take action right now, but not sure what to do, Side with Love is a great place to start. Also, a special invitation for anyone considering membership at UUFN to meet Reverend Sara downstairs after the service for our Meaning of Membership class. Next Sunday, join Barbara Krause and Ellen Saul for our service, Spring Equinox, a time for opening, deepening, and trusting the mystery of growth and rebirth. Again, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northfield.
Good morning, all. I am the Reverend Sara Smalley, she, her pronouns, and I serve as the minister of UUFN. It is indeed good to be together today. Those in the sanctuary may notice we are having some minor tech issues because we don't have our TVs working today. We're working on it, we're figuring it out. I just wanted to mention that because later in the service, you will need to know the lyrics for our closing hymn. So if you don't have or can't share an order of service, does anyone need one? All right, we're set. Our opening words then. Our opening words are "The Longing for Something More" by Reverend Gretchen Haley. Every little thing that breaks your heart is welcome here. We'll make space for it, give it its due time and praise for the wanting it represents, the longing for something more, some healing hope that remains not yet. We promise no magic, no making it all better, but offer only this circle of trust, this human community that remembers, though imperfectly, that sings and prays, though sometimes awkwardly, this gathering that loves, though not enough. We're still practicing after all, still learning, still in need of help and partners, still becoming able to receive all this beauty and all these gifts we each bring. Come, let us worship together.
The flaming chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism. We light our chalice in solidarity with thousands of other Unitarian Universalists lighting chalices this morning in worship spaces across the globe, reminding us all that we are part of a great community of faith and love. Please join me in speaking the words for the lighting of the chalice. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Let us open our minds to learn what is true. And let us open our hearts to love one another. Please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 349, We Gather Together.
All right, so we have a time for all ages, and I will need an assistant to open the Wonder Box. Would anyone like to come on stage of any age? Yes, come on, come wonder with me. All right. To open our box and let us know what's inside.
There's a little origami frog.
We have an origami frog.
And a paper that says leap.
Leap. Thank you very much, Augie. What in the heck could these have in common? A frog and leap? Frogs do leap, and there's the game of leapfrog. But what could that mean in today's context? What the heck are we talking about? There's an old story in the Sufi tradition, which is the mystic branch of the Islamic faith, about a man in the desert. He had been wandering for days. This man was convinced that he was going to die. He hadn't had food or water in a really long time. He caught himself in a sandstorm. And then as he came across a camp that had been hidden, he was so excited. He was like, maybe there's people here. Maybe there's food, or better yet, maybe there's water. He searched and he didn't come across anything. He was angry because he had been praying to his God for weeks at this point to have some kind of civilization and community to rely on. Right when he was about to give up, he turned around and he noticed that there was a water pump coming out of the ground. He had to look a few times to make sure it was really there. And then he started pumping it and nothing happened. And he took a deep breath and he tried again and he pumped it. Absolutely nothing came out. He was like, well, just my luck. I guess I'm not going to make it through the desert today. And then he turned around as he was about to leave and noticed that buried in the sand was a water bottle that had been corked to make sure that the water inside didn't leak out from condensation. He couldn't believe his eyes. It was full of water. He could very clearly see that. And then right when he took off the lid and was about to take a sip, he noticed there was a note on it that said, use this water to get the water pump going. So then this man was faced with a decision. This is enough water for me to at least catch up on hydration, maybe fill my canteen a little bit before I head back out. But I don't think I could survive for days off of this water. I don't think I could survive even maybe for the rest of the day. But how in the heck am I supposed to know that this is gonna work if I put it in the water pump? What if I lose the only water that I have? So I imagine this guy just sitting and looking at this water bottle, right? And praying out to God with so many colorful words, right? How in the heck are you supposed to make a decision like this? Do I trust what I can clearly see that is right in front of me? This water that I know I can drink, that I know is clean? Or do I trust the note from a stranger that's been there for who knows how long and put it in the water pump to get it started? He decides even if he drank this water, he wouldn't have much of a chance at survival. But if he is able to get water from the pump and he's able to drink his fill and rehydrate, refill his canteen, he'll have a chance to make it to the next city, which is about 2 days away. So he decides to take the chance. And he takes all of the clean water he can see and pours it in the water pump and starts pumping again. And for a moment, nothing happened, but he kept trying. And eventually, he heard water flowing. And water started pouring out into the sand, more water than he had seen in weeks. And he goes and he runs and he fills his canteen. And since the water is still going, he just starts drinking it, maybe cleans up a little bit. And then he decides to refill the other bottle with water and recork it. He trusted a note from someone he had never met. He trusted a note that he had no idea was even accurate anymore because who knows how long it had been there. He was able to get water and he was able to make it through the day. He knew that. So before he left that camp, he added a little PS to the note on the bottle and said, "Trust me, it works." And then he was able to move on and make it to the city 2 days later, just fine. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what to trust in situations like that. You want to talk about between a rock and a hard place, right? And sometimes trusting in community, even if it's a little less than visible, I'll say that, not invisible, is really the way to go. It can make sure that we can make it through to the next certainty.
We now turn our attention to our time of reflection and connection as we light our candles of community. You can wait a second. But I have stuff to say first. I have stuff to say because it is time to settle into this space in a particular grounded way today. I invite you to allow yourself an unhurried breath, to let compassion soften any stress or worry. As Gabriel Valdez says, make the moment under you feel calm and still again. You are what can't be moved. Your roots are in 1,000 things you love and can call upon. Your roots are in 1,000 things you love and can call upon. Call upon those roots as I say this. This week marks the 5-year anniversary of the pandemic lockdown. As with other major national and international events, I expect you remember where you were when the announcement came, or the directive, or the growing realization that this might get really bad. Those stay-at-home orders in March 2020 meant isolation and fear, but we knew they were the best way to care for each other. We wiped down groceries and started worshiping on Zoom and watched in horror and heartbreak as the death toll climbed. We ourselves lost loved ones to COVID, and we grieve them still. In some ways, it's still hard to talk about that time. The grief and the trauma is still present for so many of us. Let the tears come if they will. If you're noticing you're feeling anxious, make the moment under you feel still and calm again, if even just a little bit. With your breath and with remembering your connection to laughter and to birdsong, and with the truth that you are right now held by this network of care that we create together as you hold others as well. And so, held by this love that will not let us go, we use our chalice flame to light our candles of community. We light our first candle as a blessing for the wider world, for those we love who died of COVID, for all that was lost, for the grief and trauma that lives within us still, for this great interdependent web of which we are a part, for hope and healing and community, this flame burns bright. We know too that the details of our daily lives are sacred and important, and we light candles to honor the sorrows and celebrations of our lives, a joy from Ellen in our hearts, but that have not been spoken aloud, and we move into a time of silence that we might hear love speaking. Amen and blessed be.
Our reading today is Tender Anger by Jan Richardson. As with any emotion, anger can be a map. Within the landscape of our life, the presence of anger reveals where our passions lie, whom we love, what we consider important. Anger shows us where we are vulnerable, where there are cracks or wounds in our soul, where there is brokenness within us or around us. If we pay attention to what anger reveals about the terrain of our soul, it can help us find and create the path ahead. Anger is also a messenger. It always has something to tell us about who we are and how we are connected with those around us. This is part of why anger can be so difficult and complicated. It reminds us what matters to us. We rarely become angry about something or someone we do not care about. In her groundbreaking essay, The Power of Anger in the Work of Love, Beverly Wildung Harrison writes, "Anger is not the opposite of love. It is better understood as a feeling signal that all is not well in our relation to the other person or group or to the world around us. Anger is a mode of connectedness to others, and it is always a vivid form of caring." She goes on to write, "Where anger rises, there the energy to act is present." When anger walks into my life and sits down at my table, I try to remember to ask, what is anger trying to tell me? What's the invitation here? What choice can I make that will lead me beyond feeling powerless? Is there a step I can take that will transform anger into action for my own life, for the lives of those around me, for the life of the world? We will now expand our circle of care as we gratefully give and receive our Share the Plate offering for the American Civil Liberties Union Foundation. Our Share the Plate offering represents more than financial support. It is a moral statement. Giving to the ACLU Foundation enables UUFN to extend our impact beyond the walls of our fellowship, joining a national effort to uphold the democratic process and safeguard freedoms that are under increasing threat. Will the ushers please come forward?
In our reading today, Jan Richardson compares anger to a map that reveals the terrain of our soul, and later offers the image of inviting anger to sit at the table with us when it appears, so that we might ask what it has to teach us. Richardson ends that reflection with this poem. Anger is a woman. Anger is a woman who has learned that pleasantness is not the way to peacefulness, that silence is not the way to strength. Anger is a woman who has learned to breathe from her belly, who waits at your door, bringing you offerings, who knows your true name and gives it back to you. She has lived on the streets. She knows prisons and alleys and mud. She has seen hungry children and broken women and desperate men and spoken to them in their own tongues. They gave her a song. She sings it to you. And then Richardson asks, how might anger sing through you? I find this gorgeous, and also not at all what I had been taught about anger or how I have experienced anger in my life. I was taught anger is not something that sings, but something to fear. Something to fear both in myself and others, and for good reason, since anger is so often synonymous with aggression. I want to be exceedingly clear here today that the anger I'm talking about in this sermon is not about belittling, shaming, intimidating, or threatening others. I want to separate anger as an emotion from the ways anger is often expressed. Anger as a song, not a silencing, a teacher of wisdom, not an enforcer of fear. Let me tell you a story. After my mom died in 2016, my therapist suggested that the second to the last time I scatter some of my mom's ashes, I tell my mom all the reasons I was mad at her. All those hurts from childhood, all those resentments carried for years that I never expressed. My mom was my hero, a hospice pioneer, a woman who left a controlling marriage in the 1970s and then married the love of her life, a woman, in the 1990s. She taught me what it means to live with courage and joy while not shying away from grief and pain. But she wasn't perfect, and her actions and inactions caused me harm. And so this idea of allowing myself to feel angry at her and tell her I was angry was both challenging and compelling. I had scattered some of her ashes on the North Shore and some in Chicago in the little park across from my seminary, and some in the Kettle River with my children. But I never allowed myself to feel or express that anger, and I kept putting off that second to the last scattering of ashes. And truth be told, I put it off until last month and finally went through with it only because I felt like I had to in order to give this sermon. This is what happens when you become a minister. I was so resistant to letting myself feel anger that I put it off for 9 years. Here's what wasn't surprising about that experience of scattering my mom's ashes while allowing myself to feel angry with her. It was hard and heartbreaking and vulnerable. It felt healing, freeing, to say out loud and on the pages of my journal some of the ways I deserved better, to place the responsibility for harm caused where it needed to be on her instead of internalizing it. Here's what was surprising: how much closer I felt to my mom after that. It's like this. If I can't be angry sometimes, we can't have an authentic relationship. If I can't trust you with my anger, I can't trust you with my vulnerability. But if we can be angry with each other without hurting each other with our anger, that is an invitation to draw closer. I needed to trust that my relationship with my mom could handle my anger, and it did. Instead of creating a wedge between us, it dissolved the wedge that was already there. Anger is often considered a secondary emotion, meaning it often arises to mask or protect against more vulnerable primary emotions, such as shame, fear, or guilt. Poet Rick Fields writes, "Behind the hardness, there is fear. And if you touch the heart of fear, you find sadness. And if you touch the sadness, you find the vast blue sky." Or slightly rephrased and worth hearing again. Behind the anger, there is fear. And if you touch the heart of the fear, you find sadness. And if you touch the sadness, you find the vast blue sky. I think there is something to this. Anger can become a shield to protect us from our vulnerabilities or distract us from our pain. If I lash out so I appear strong and in control, I don't have to admit the world can feel scary at times. If I direct my sadness outward and force other people to carry its spiky edges, I don't have to feel the heartache tearing me up inside. If that's you, if you are someone whose uncomfortable emotions come out as anger, there are things that can help. Therapy, learning tools for nervous system regulation, and learning how to process emotions and express them in other ways. And then there are those of us who tend to do the opposite. Instead of externalizing anger, we turn it back in on ourselves. Instead of being angry at someone who harmed us, we find ways to blame ourselves. Anger internalized can result in a deep sense of shame. The poet Marge Piercy writes, "A good anger acted upon is beautiful as lightning and swift with power. A good anger swallowed. A good anger swallowed clots the blood to slime." And there are both gender and racial dimensions to anger as well. As a white woman, I was socialized to see anger as simply unladylike, since it goes against the primary role of women to always keep the peace, no matter the cost. Can't we just all get along? A Black woman raising her voice against hundreds of years of violent racial oppression is dismissed as an angry Black woman and told her tone is the problem, not the racism. Men are often socialized to see anger as a strong and manly emotion and are ridiculed for showing sadness, fear, or tenderness. Again, therapy for everyone. And let's take a moment to be angry that therapy isn't accessible and affordable to everyone, even those who have health insurance, since mental health coverage is so often limited. Because there is another way to express anger, not aggressive anger that lashes out, not passive anger that internalizes and buries feelings, and definitely not passive-aggressive anger, where one is outwardly agreeable, but shows anger through indirect action, but something called assertive anger, anger that is appropriately felt, managed, and communicated. The anger in the story I shared about my mom was, I think, assertive anger. It was honest but kind and created the conditions necessary for conflict resolution and relationship repair. Reverend Douglas Taylor writes, "We need to pair up and even triple up our values so they can balance each other. When you can pair up your anger with compassion, you can move forward. To have compassion towards those you are angry at does not mean the anger goes away. It means you can do something with it rather than allow it to sit and fester." Pairing up our values enhances them both. Love and courage, truth and kindness, anger and compassion. I think Reverend Taylor has cracked the code for healthy anger here. It's what we pair anger with that makes the difference. Anger is too often paired with fear, control, domination, intimidation, and an out-of-controlness that is unsafe. But we can pair our anger with compassion, our love with outrage, which brings me to Jesus. Because even as a Unitarian Universalist, I can't talk about the spiritual practice of pairing anger and compassion without talking about Jesus. Anger in interpersonal relationships is one thing, but righteous rage at injustice another. From the book of Mark, chapter 11. On reaching Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple area and began driving out those who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves, and would not allow anyone to carry merchandise through the temple courts. And as he taught them, he said, "Is it not written, 'My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations,' but you have made it a den of robbers." Jesus came into town and went to the temple to pray, and instead of finding reverence and sanctuary, he found a den of robbers, money changers and merchants stealing from those in attendance, including pilgrims from distant lands who had no recourse. And it wasn't just the dishonest money changers who were the problem. The whole system was set up to exploit the poor. The elite were forcing pilgrims to exchange their money for special temple coins. They didn't have a choice. And every time a pilgrim exchanged money, the money changers earned a significant profit, millions of dollars in today's currency, which they shared with the Roman rulers. The temple became a marketplace ruled by greed and exploitation, and Jesus flipped over tables and benches with anger to make sure it could no longer be business as usual there. He knocked the foundation out from under the ruling class. This is a case study for and a warning about what happens when religion and empire are one and the same. What would Jesus do today? The Gospels make it pretty clear. He would be feeding the hungry, whose SNAP food assistant funds are being cut, and sheltering immigrants who face cruel and racist mass deportations. He would probably be protesting at Tesla dealerships and boycotting Amazon if he ever shopped there in the first place. And he would be calling attention to the fact that the whole system is set up to make sure the rich get richer and the poor pay the cost, and he wouldn't always play nice while doing so. This story of Jesus flipping tables and knocking over benches is one of the few stories of Jesus retold in all 4 of the Gospels in the Bible. Clearly, it made an impression. It was core to Jesus's ministry. Progressive Christian minister, the Reverend Sue Kohler Arsenal asks, "What do we do with angry Jesus?" She writes, "It would be so much easier to follow the Jesus who is simply nice to everyone, who never questions economic, political, or religious systems. We are perfectly happy to accept Jesus as our shepherd, but we are far more uncomfortable when he has a whip in his hands and overturns tables." We might hear her words as, "It would be so much easier to follow a Unitarian Universalism that is simply nice to everyone. We are perfectly happy to accept Unitarian Universalism as safe, liberal intellectualism, but we are far more uncomfortable when it calls us to overturn white, patriarchal, capitalist empire." Reverend Kohler Arsenal continues, "But if there ever was a time we needed this Jesus, the angry Jesus, it is now. Where is our anger at an economic system that does not provide a living wage to full-time workers? Where is our anger at gerrymandered political maps that systemically disenfranchise Black voters? Where is our anger at fossil fuel suppliers who have long known their impacts on the climate? Where is our anger at governments that target and fund the mass murder of civilians, of children in Ukraine and Gaza? Where is our anger at religious systems that exclude and judge and demonize other people because of their gender, race, sexual orientation, or religion? Where is our anger? If we shut down our anger at injustice, if we shut down our anger when our boundaries have been violated, we diminish the prophetic divine spark within our hearts that can empower us to take action for good." She concludes, "What makes you angry? What makes you angry? Can you feel it in your heart? There is power there. It is the power to love, the power to act, the power to make a difference." And so, compassion is the fuel, anger the spark. Don't confuse anger as the fuel, it will combust. But also, if your life is fueled by compassion, by truth, by kindness, and by love, don't be afraid of a little heat. Own your power. Light up this world. Let's sing together. You know what the song is going to be. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People," with the lyrics, the updated lyrics from Holly Near, printed in your order of service, and for those on Zoom on your screen.
Gentle, angry people.
may be seated. Song also available on Spotify if you need to listen to it on the way home. Holly Near. Also on the UU Hymns That Slap playlist, yes. We sing a lot of those. That's a good sign. Well, they slap. Exactly. Injustice gave you, let me start. Injustice gave anger a song, and she sings it to you, and together we are singing, singing for our lives. Our closing words are from poet Nikita Gill. The rage you are feeling comes from the same place inside your heart as the love. This is why you refuse to accept a world where cruelty reigns and the fire consumes all. You have known hope and joy and kindness like you have known water. And justice is a river that demands you not give it up. May it be so, and may we make it so. Let us join together in the words for the extinguishing of the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or spirit, and with your hand over your heart, holding a hand of those next to you, or whatever posture is most comfortable, we sing words of blessing one to another. Go in peace.